Welcome to the Maturity Project. I am the host, Chad Everett Broshears, and I'm here with my other two co-hosts, and we're going to be talking about a very solid conversation today, and we're going to get it from both the customer's experience as well as the professional's experience when it comes to gym memberships, why people thrive in some companies and they fail in others. So we're going to get into that. It's going to be a great conversation today. So if you guys like to introduce yourself, and then we'll walk right in. So, Justin, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, we'll get to Misty at the end.
Yeah, certainly. My name is Justin Rappel. Professionally, I'm a corporate sales executive, and I am on the consumer side of this conversation with about 30 years of experience.
Beautiful. Misty?
My name is Misty Tate. I own Misty Coaches LLC, and I am a functional fitness trainer and also a holistic health coach.
Love it. So we've got some interesting, and we've got a lot of experience here, by the way. How long have you been in the industry, Misty?
12 years.
12 years. And as a customer prior to going to the gyms, or just going in?
Probably just altogether about 20 years.
Wow. Right, so there's plenty of experience here, right?
Yep.
Same thing. I first joined a gym, and it was actually Gold's Gym was the first one I joined. And I joined that at 20 years old. So 45 now. I've been a member, and on the professional side, that's been 16 years now. So with that, we've got a lot to talk about, and we've seen it, right? New Year's resolutions, we've seen all of that stuff. So the first thing I want to talk about is what type of gym do you guys attend? So, Justin, what type of gym do you attend as a customer? And then, so we'll get that, and then we'll go over to Misty because she's going to have a two-part.
Yeah, sure. So, I think fitness centers, gyms, are like a lot of other consumable purchasing decisions, even though it's a subscription, right? But for me, in my chosen profession, it's historically been very important that it's a branded facility with multiple locations, because I couldn't rely on my home gym but maybe 25 or 30% of the time. So I had to be in a place where my membership transitioned if I was in Miami or if I was in Jacksonville or Orlando, any of those places. So when I moved beyond, multiple locations, the second piece of it is it clean? And is the equipment, functional? I think we've probably all been in places where, it's not well kept, and equipment's broken and off limits and things of that nature. So that would be number two for me.
Yeah. You got to get what you're paying for, right? And you want to be able to have access wherever you travel, if you can find one that's that big of a chain. And what you go to is what's known as a general fitness facility, right? It's not a specialty, it's just general.
Right.
Okay, perfect. And Misty, on the professional side, what type of gym is it that you work inside of?
It's a private facility where trainers and massage therapists and all different types of wellness practitioners, like health coaches and any wellness practitioner can rent space there, but it is a private facility that you can only go to if you are working with a professional. So it doesn't just allow you access like a box gym would.
Yeah. So, and what we would refer to as a personal training membership-based gym, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So that people understand what those types are, because it's actually an entire economy inside of the gym industry. It's not one thing. There's actually quite a few. So, yeah, working inside of that. Now, when you go to work out, in your history, what types of gyms have you been a part of?
For a while I was just a part of a little local gym, and then it was I forget what it was. I forget the name of it, but there was only one of them, and then I realized, okay, well it would make more sense, like if I was going to be traveling, to go to be at a gym like LA Fitness or Anytime Fitness, not only to name a few, where you could have a membership and go. Because I was traveling a lot more at that point. So I let go of the local and went on to the box gym where there would be multiple locations. And then sometimes now, because I do work in a private facility, if there's space and no one else is renting it, then I will work out in that private space. So I have a couple of options.
Nice. Yeah. And just for the audience as well, when we refer to a box gym, it's general fitness. Typically, they're a little bit on the larger side. That's like the LA Fitness, Planet Fitness, EOS will fall into that, Amped if you're in the area for those. Those are going to be, because they're general, and they refer to them as box gyms. Mm-hmm. So just give everybody a better idea, because there are a lot of them. You have Pilates studios, yoga studios. You do have the personal training. And then you've got the large commercial facilities. You have things like oh darn, I forgot the name of it now. I apologize. It's a higher end. Typically, the memberships start around $80. So there's a lot of different types of gyms. Some of them price out of the market for a lot of people, because their target is a more affluent customer. So for that, the gyms that we're really going to be talking about today are going to be the more mass access gyms, or $10, $20 memberships, or within that range, anywhere from $10 to $30 on a monthly basis. But the benefits and the drawbacks to specific companies, we're not going to actually call the company out by name today, but just to give the customer an idea, or the audience an idea about, when you're shopping for gyms, what types should you be looking for so that you can maximize your success. Because New Year's resolution people, we all lose them. We lose them fairly quickly, just simply because they really can't get their stride. And there are companies that love those clients. I won't name them specifically, but I will say the largest franchise in the country is one of those that when you sign up, you go for a couple of days, you get your pizza, you get your bagels, and then you don't come back until you get your annual, and that's when you may cancel. If not, then it'll be a couple of years later when you're finally really frustrated with the fact you've been paying every month and you've hit several annuals, and then you quit. So, and only visited a handful of times. Mm-hmm. So with that, just so that the audience has a reason to really stick around, if it's ever been a curiosity for you why people quit, and why some people are successful, why some companies are successful, and why, just the bigger why when it comes to the industry. New Year's resolution people will come through like a locust at times, like for some people, where it's just like, Jesus, man, the next 90 days, I'm not going to be able to get the equipment that I typically like when I have 9 months out of the year and these people aren't around. Right. And what kind of environment is the company creating that actually makes that more likely to happen? So from your guys' experience, you guys have both experienced this, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
And have you ever really dug into the concept to why this is occurring? Like why people stick around and why they don't stick around?
Excuse me. I think as a professional, I've started to realize a little more about why that happens. And I mean, if you want, do you want my opinion on why people fall off around late January and early February, or?
Absolutely.
I think there's a lot of factors. I think people don't truly understand. I think they think of January as a new beginning, and they like the thought of the new beginning of that time of year feels like a time to start, but they don't really plan what it's going to take to be consistent long term. So it sounds good, just like it sounds good when we say, oh, I'm going to start my diet on Monday. Monday sounds good because it's a good solid first day of the week, right? So in our brains, we like these kind of starting days, first of the month, first of the week, Monday, first of the year, It's really easy for and I also believe that this is all psychological, that just as humans, this is what we like. This is what we like to do. We like these kind of round numbers and first days of things. And then when you see, we don't anticipate the real work, or maybe we anticipate it a little bit. But then when you see what the real work is going to be, then it's easy to fall off, because it's like, well, it's not only just that you see what the real work is going to be, because it is hard work, and especially if you get to be our age, which we're all, I'm 40, we're all in our mid to late 40s, and so it's harder for us at this age, I think, as we get older, and so, but even for young people, it can be challenging to be consistent and the typical human can't. I don't want to say that, but most people, it takes quite a while to form a habit, and usually around the 30-day mark, if they're not seeing real results on something, they tend to fall off. That's just in my professional opinion from what I've seen over and over again, and especially if you don't have the help. And I'm not saying that everyone can even afford the help, but if you find there's help online, there's lower cost than maybe what I would charge or what trainers would charge. But if you don't have a coach or someone kind of guiding you through, or a friend or someone helping you, then it's really easy to fall off. So you have to enlist the help of other people. You have to either find a coach or a friend. You have to realize that it's going to be long term, not just a couple months, and that if you don't see results in 2, even 3 months, because let's face it, I think we all know that it takes about 6 months or longer to even see a real change in our body. We might see really quickly how we feel it changes, but what a lot of people go into New Year's resolutions for is a change in their body. And when they're like, well, I've been working my ass off for 30 days and I don't see anything yet, well, then screw this. That's my opinion.
All of which I find to be very valid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Miss, I couldn't agree more with what you just said, and you hit on a couple of things there, but in the studies that I've looked at, a goal is ultimately a stated end result, and a goal doesn't hold much water without the habits that are going to keep you on track, keep you, and keep you coming back. And the habits are small. They're not significant habits, but that's in our society, in our world today, in my humble opinion, that's where all these New Year's are keep falling down. Hey, I want to, New Year's Eve, I got 30 pounds to lose. I want to look great by bikini season or swimsuit season, whatever, And again, could not agree more with the idea that 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 30 days isn't going to get it. Not unless you're starving yourself and doing every other thing you shouldn't do. But why don't we start with, I'm going to set my alarm for an hour before I have to be to work. I'm going to lay out my fitness apparel the night before, and I'm going to keep a calendar of accountability as to when I'm going.
Right. And I absolutely agree with you there. I think, but I think that without help, like obviously what you're stating there is like tiny habits or atomic habits. I mean, you're obviously more schooled, just like I think most of us are, having done this for many years. But what we're talking about, what about the new person that has never read that, doesn't have a coach, doesn't have any background? I mean, I think what it is that where people are going into it without the planning and the knowledge and the proper learning that that they think, and especially, and a lot of it is marketing as well. These gyms are marketing, come get fit, and this is going to cost you $1 for the first month, or they see these programs that tell them that it only takes 30 days or it only takes 60 days, and we all know that's not true. So I think people are kind of believing in that right now, fast mentality. But I completely agree with what you're saying. Obviously, those habits are what's going to build the long-term consistency. But I think the New Year's resolutioners aren't creating those habits. They're thinking fast. Let's get this done quick.
Well, and in full transparency, as the consumer, these reads, these studies I've done, I certainly didn't do them independently. I did them through the suggestions of coaching.
Mm-hmm.
And, and the other thing that I don't think can be ignored, I mean, a coach does a number of things, and I'm very, I'm a product of. They give instruction, obviously. They also keep you from injury.
Yeah.
When you get hurt, and it's all over anyhow.
Well, my next thing is that New Year's, a lot of times what I see happen with New Year's resolutioners, and I hate to keep calling them that, but that seems to be what, I'm giving it a term. But is that's what happens. They will injure themselves because they don't know, because they're going it alone and they don't know how to have proper form, or they think that every day of those first 30 days in January, they're going to work out every single day. And that's not good for someone that's never worked out or that hasn't worked out in a long time. Like, rest is just as important as the workout. So what I'll see people do is, I'm going to go run 5 days a week, and I'm going to strength train 6 or 7 days a week, and then I'm going to do yoga, and then and it's like, no, but more is not better here. So, and then they injure themselves. So.
Yep.
Yeah. So to help with this too, because it's like we're hitting on a lot of points that's really valid, right? Mm-hmm. From the consumer side, from the customer, from the professional side. And as mentioned, expectations play a massive role. An advertisement's job, like as we do have somebody who works with us that's in advertising and marketing, and he'll tell you have to simplify and target. Even if it's not fully true, it's true to the point, which is, okay, 30 days you're going to see change. All right, but what does that change truly look like? What does that change truly like? And when they make advertisement, they're usually talking about the people that are above average in results, not the people on the bottom of the average or at average. Right? So you set these expectations, and you're like, you're going to lose 30 pounds in 30 days. Yeah. Well, let's discuss some of the merits of that, right? When you get into medical weight loss, what is the body actually doing? So when you get into starvation dieting, 500, 700 calories a day, your body will eat muscle. Well, it doesn't eat muscle. It metabolizes muscle for energy, because fat is precious and muscle is expensive. Mm-hmm. So fat will get you through the hardship. Muscle will cost you through the hardship if you don't have it fed. Right? Yeah. So they cut you down in that. They tell you not to exercise, because exercise would tell the nervous system to continue holding on to that muscle, and they will see a diminishing return on that time of the weight loss program. So when you see my neighbor down the street lost a significant amount of weight, she looks great. Well, now people don't know what's going on metabolically or physically. They just see somebody look smaller.
Right.
Then in their mind, she's doing it right. I've got to figure out how to do that. Then they go to the gym. They jump on things like cardio, which is one of the things that every gym pretty much tells you when it comes to the personal training side of things. This is not going to get you your results as you think it will. It's true.
Yeah.
For most people, right? Because it's going to give them the body weight loss. So in that vein of things, what we can do is we can narrow it down and be like, okay, where are the problems? Justin, what is that you've been influenced by the customer or by the marketing for the customer? And then obviously for Misty and I, we can sit there and be like, we're on the professional side of this, and it aggravates us every time we see these advertisements because we know the truth and the customer's on the other side of the veil. well, and now you may not be like a standard customer because you're insightful and you're curious and you want to develop and mature. But for your side of it, if you were to keep it on that more generic, what the customer is experiencing, and then Misty and I can talk a bit more about that frustration from being a professional. So how did they get you for weight loss interest or building muscle interest as a marketing technique?
Yeah. So I don't know that I was proactive from a very young age. So it probably doesn't apply directly to me, but I think in its very simplistic form, every one of these facilities that has broadband advertising, it's the same story. Mm-hmm. It's easy, it's fun, it'll be quick. And none of that's true. Mm-hmm. I mean, it can be fun. I want to take that away. But, it takes consistent effort that, one of my big statements, is that, you got to believe in the process. Mm-hmm. Because the process is not going to show results, or if it shows results, those results are going to look pretty minuscule and probably discouraging for the first few weeks. Man, I've been working my tail off and I've dropped 3 pounds. I mean, are you serious? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's not, if you're someone that's looking to lose 30, that's not encouraging. Not without a coach that can show you, well, hey, maybe you lost 3 pounds, but maybe you also lost 7 inches.
Yeah.
And that's equally where this coaching is so helpful, because they're the professionals for a reason. And the other part of that I think somewhere needs to be thrown in here is that if you've got a conscience, and I'd like to think most people do, if I've got a coach that I'm on a schedule with, they in themselves, by their presence alone, does create an accountability factor too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Misty, some of the things that have aggravated you about on the advertising side of things, the way that people are lured into getting their memberships, what shows up for you that like a pretty common things? Like,
well, I think I said before, is making promises of a certain amount of time that they can, you can get fit in 60 days, and that isn't always the gyms that do it. I mean, a lot of times it's programs. It's even trainers will say it, and I'm like, no one can guarantee that. No one can tell you, because they don't know your hormone status, they don't know your age, they don't know whether you're male or female. All those things factor into how long it's going to take you to lose weight or build muscle or look a certain way. So I think that's probably my number one. But as far as gyms, I think there's that. I don't like the marketing of the we're for everybody, like that kind of those kind of, because I think all gyms should be for everybody. So you see certain gyms, it's like, oh, we're just the regular person's gym, But I've seen regular people at all gyms. I just think I don't think that's but I can see where people would want to go to or want to be around more regular looking people. But you do go to certain gyms and you'll still see, because they'll let anyone, basically what certain gyms, and I'm not going to name who they are, but I think most people know who I mean, they'll say, we're just the regular person's gym. Well, what are you telling me? That you're going to turn away a bodybuilder or someone who looks really good? Or how do you define the regular person, right? So that kind of bothers me when they try to pull people in that way, even though I do think it's good marketing, because that will get like your typical person that might be intimidated by by, your quote unquote meathead gyms, the bodybuilder meathead, the fancy, like really pretty, all of everybody's the pretty people, right? So, but those two things I think are the things that bother me the most about marketing in gyms.
Yeah, right. You get an alarm sounded on you if you're a heavy, or if you like to lift heavy. There's those kind of gyms that are out there, judgment free, but we're going to judge in our advertising.
Right.
Judgment free, no lunks allowed. Right.
Yeah.
My brain hurts. I can't read that.
The particular one is that, like you mentioned, the pizza and the bagels. Come on, like we're talking about losing weight here. What are you guys doing? You're passing out food that is absolutely horrible in almost any sense, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, that's another thing that just kind of popped up for me as you were saying it.
There's an interesting thing that's occurred in our lifetime for people that are newer to the gym world. In our lifetime, you used to have to sign a 2-year agreement, and you'd be paying about $50 a month. There was no annuals, though. It was just you'd be locked in. And if you tried to separate, you had to prove that you moved out of the area and likely would still need a doctor's note or something like that, or you'd have to be at a specific distance that is pretty unreasonable, like 30 miles or something, right? At best I could recall, it may have been 20, but maybe 30, depending on the company, and you couldn't get out of it. You had to pay every single month, or you'd have to do a settlement payment, which would typically be, it'd be whatever's left over, you just do it in one payment. All right, so it used to be pretty aggressive. And then the Invent came along. First, what we experienced was a company called Anytime Fitness. And Anytime Fitness really brought 24-hour access to a lot of places that never saw 24-hour access prior. So that was a wonderful growth. But their business model was really to pitch how easy it is to run a gym. You just sit behind the desk and people come in and you just sign them up. It's easy. Buy your territory now. We'll do everything else you need to have done. Just have this much money, and there you go. And bring your nest egg. All right, we're going to give you a working retirement plan. And it turned out to be a huge failure because the gym industry and restaurants are the highest fail rates of all industries. I mean, significantly higher fail rates than even the next in line. So, and gyms and restaurants, horrible survival rate for those. So, and because there's not much margin, and a lot of people come in with heart. So what happens is people start off with their marketing and culture efforts for the heart, for the passion, and then they start getting strangled out by the financial demand to keeping the business open. And then you get the ruthless cutthroats that come in, or they learn to become ruthless cutthroats. And then they're everything you can do to get as much money as you can from each person. And then the model comes along, which is, hey, join, we're really cheap. We are going to revolutionize by not giving you monthly or annual contracts, anything like that. It's month to month. So immediately they're better than the competition. And hey, we're an easygoing facility. You'll fit perfectly fine here. Would you like pizzas and bagels? So, and if you decide not to show up anymore, oh, well, we'll bring you back eventually. We're here waiting for you. And then every month there's a payment made, there's an annual paid, and the club doesn't get wear and tear.
Yeah, it's such a small price point too, and that's a lot of these gyms models. Obviously, is that it's such a small price point that nobody feels it, and so many people don't even check their bank account, and they forget. I got a client right now that's been paying for the last 2 years, $14.99 membership somewhere, and she's like, oh, I just remembered that I still have that. I'm like, well, they just got $200 worth of your money.
Right, and nowhere in the
That's
facility.
what they want. That's what they expect to happen, and it's a great model for them. So,
But the customer now, the fitness enthusiast, is very unlikely to sign up again for the fact that they already know that they failed before because there was no support system. They just had a tag to get in. So, so as far as that goes, obviously it's a gripe. Now, for customer or for the client success models, Justin, what would you say is what you've noticed is the most common failure purpose or for failure reason And then what's the most common like success reason when it comes to a gym membership, and why do some of these people just they fail because of this reason, and then the reasons why you see people are successful. Number one reason on both sides.
Yeah. So for me, like I mentioned, I think the fail factor more than anything else is a lack of education on habit forming. I mean, I can't think of anything else that you could just pinpoint the masses to say this is why. I mean, I think everyone walks in with positive intent, or most of them anyway. But if you're not being given some direction to what it's going to take, some realistic habits that need to be put into place, it's tough. Now on the flip side of that, I think the success is. I think you've got a couple of options. You either have somebody that was a lifelong athlete that did a bunch of sports growing up. Maybe they competed, through high school, even college, and it's ingrained. Mm-hmm. That's what you do. That's where I would put myself, frankly. But the more reasonable is, geez, I really need to do something. Maybe I was even an athlete in school, but man, I have allowed myself to go. And I've been here too, where 3-4 years ago I sustained a major back injury. Okay, so when I did that, I lost my way for a bit, as far as I can't do what I used to. And I'm scared to death of re-injuring myself. Mm-hmm. So that's the point in time where, for me anyway, coaching was, you couldn't put a price on it. Because I got a real professional of a coach. We had to reinvent what the gym look like for me and what I could and couldn't do. And then once again, challenge me to move beyond some of these, some obstacles that I had predetermined in my own head. Mm-hmm. I'll never run again. Or, it's never a good idea for me to do a squat movement after blowing out my lower back. Well, that's not necessarily true. If you are directed in the right manner, if you do it responsibly, but you need to be educated. You can't walk in there like blind and think it's going to, so that we kind of keep coming back to it, but it's where the coaching is so valuable.
Agreed. And so lack of information is one of the most common reasons for failing, and how to make real change. And getting good quality guidance and coaching would be the success that you've noticed in yourself and also for others.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
And then for Misty, and again, I don't want to lose the sight of the customer side that we experience going into a gym, but not necessarily being there as a professional. But I feel that Justin is doing a really good job hitting that. If there's something that does come up that's like, oh, well, what about this other thing? Then obviously we should throw that in. But as of right now, I think Justin is really doing an amazing job illustrating the customer's experience. Mm-hmm. On your side, what would you say is probably the number one reason that somebody has failed? And then obviously being a professional is going to be a little harder because obviously we have the potential to bias. But we're both great at what we do. So I don't worry about too much of being too biased if it's true. But the point of it is, like, for those things, if there's like the one thing you're like, damn, that's the reason why everybody quits. And it may just echo Justin. If that's what the case, then we can say, hey, it's what Justin said. We're good, and we can move on to the next question.
Okay, so I think before I did state a lot of that with like with the reason I think what I said is the reason why that I think the most people quit is because they expect fast results in a short or big results in a short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
They never anticipated, just like we do with a lot of things, not even just the gym, lots of us do it, they never anticipated the amount of work or the amount of complication or the amount of planning that was going to go into it.
Okay, so if we don't mind, we'll break that down just a little bit. What's the common, so like we'll just give up a couple categories here. Mm-hmm. Weight loss. What has been your experience of the average, if you had to qualify it, of what people's expectations of losing weight and like how much is the most common you hear?
Okay, so because I use a pretty state-of-the-art, we use the Psyku 3D body scanner. It uses the DEXA technology. It's a very expensive machine. We use it, and it's extremely accurate. So I can tell you, based on that algorithm and how many clients I have, what people normally would lose and what people normally could gain in muscle. And I think that is typically around 2 to 4% muscle mass gain or body fat loss in about 3 months is what the typical average is. Now, I've seen people gain 6% or lose 6% of their body fat or even a little bit more in 3 months, but those people typically tend to be a little bit younger, right? But somebody around my age, they'll lose 2 to 4% of their body fat maybe in 3 months. Sometimes it's less than that. But again, we're talking about an average. So I like to look at body fat. I don't want to necessarily look at weight. Weight's the last thing that I look at. And I tell my clients that too. I wish I could take this off of this scanner because that's not really the most important thing. I haven't weighed myself in maybe a year. I'd rather know what's my body fat, what is my muscle mass, what is my bone density, like all these other factors. What's the circumference of my waist? What's my waist to hip ratio? So, but anyway, what the expectation, I say that first because what the expectation of most clients is because they don't really realize all the differences in those metrics and how important those metrics are. So I really try to go in and explain how important all those metrics are and why I don't even look at the weight. Yes, we can look at it, but it's the last thing we need to look at. That's just in my training. Maybe not everybody's that way. But the problem, I think, with most, because I work with more women than men, I work with about 80% women and maybe about 20% men. And men will typically want to come in and want to build muscle, right? But women don't ever say, rarely ever do they come in, especially if they're my age or older. I have to coach them into wanting to build muscle. I'm like, when they come in and they tell me, I just want to lose weight, I just want to be this weight, I don't think they really realize that what they're asking for is they need to build muscle so that they can lose that weight, right? So that all has to be explained to them, but they have a number in their mind that they want, and they think it should be able to be done by a certain time because they've done that before. When they were 25, I lost 20 pounds in 1 month when I was 25. Why can't I do that again? You know? Right. I mean, because you're not 25, you're 52 now, and you're going through menopause, right? So, those are what I mean by high expectations of a time when that time is way past, and now we need to be looking at, well, what do your bones look like? Are you at risk for an injury because you have bone density issues? Because how much muscle mass do you actually have? Can we build more muscle mass so that you can lose that fat? So really breaking down the science of it. And that usually dumbs it down to them enough to go, oh wow, I guess I'm being a little bit kind of over. I'm expecting too much here. I can't lose 20 pounds in 3 months, or maybe I can, but it's not likely.
Yeah, and that's something from my side too. Is like, what's the average that people come in and say, right? For me, I hear 10, 20 pounds, and then obviously the question is, by what time do you expect to lose that by? In fat, right? Or just most of the time they just say, weight, not the distinction fat, although that's what they mean. Mm-hmm. Now, and they come in with this mindset that they're going to lose like 10 pounds or 20 pounds in a month.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, well, that's going to set you up for failure already because you're emotionally gravitating towards that result.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't, has anybody talked to you about the lifestyle factors necessary to prime your body for weight loss, let alone get it to the point that it actually is metabolizing fat? And where are you at? There's companies that say, okay, this is what you need to know, the triangle of success, right? Pyramid of success. Nutrition, exercise, cardio, which is just, to me, is like, what are you talking about? Exercise, cardio, they're in the same category, first off, so you're already kind of not teaching properly. And these are the professionals offering information. So if you don't have an education in what it really takes for transformation, as Justin says, habits are so incredibly important, and it's very true. And then on our side, there's the other factors, which is what's actually physiologically going on. So we have people with an expectation of losing a certain amount of weight. You know what I love, and I'm certain you guys have heard this. A pound of fat and a pound of muscle, that pound of muscle is heavier than a pound of fat. Have you guys heard that?
I've heard it. Yeah.
You've heard it, right? It makes your eyes roll. Misty, a pound is a pound, right? It doesn't matter. A pound of feathers versus a pound of lead is a pound, right? It's missing surface space.
Small amount of space. The pound of fat's like that big, the muscle's like that big, right? Like the
How much space
that they need to see.
So that's more of the ignorance that people are preyed on, when it's going into a gym, because you don't need to be like, there's a lot of gyms, they do not care about customer care. They care about customers signing up so the bottom line goes up, make more money. They get brand new certified trainers, and there's no in-house support system to develop them. So then it's this, there's no brand value other than whatever the certification offers. And then you got trainers that are with the mindset that will increase the failure rate. Is the more discomfort I can put you in, DOMS, the more you will see change. And they use that as a validation.
Yeah.
And that's abuse to me.
Of course, I agree. Just because you're sore doesn't mean that you're getting results, and I think you're right. That should not be a metric for success.
Yeah, and with Justin he's really lucked out, right? He's got an amazing trainer. Right out of the chute, the guy knows how to work with his pathologies, and obviously Justin is a testament, right? He's in great shape. Wasn't in great shape when he met the guy, and worked through the injuries, and still got Justin his success that he has today. So as a customer side of this, what it's like when you actually, how did you, Justin, identify a true professional in a sea of alleged professionals or varying levels of professionalism? How did you identify that trainer? Was it luck, or was there something specific that really stood out to make you go, I'm hiring him?
Okay, so I hesitate to sit and tell y'all, well, hey, I'm unique. I don't know. I don't like that. But I will tell you that 25 years of athleticism, 25 years of being in great shape, and then boom, the back injury happens, right? And I put on 30 pounds, and I can't do anything. Well, in order to even begin to start to move, I had to step through a very extensive physical therapy process. Nothing at all that would look like a fitness center or a gym. We're talking therapy. And then, honestly walked into, my fitness center of choice, specifically asked for the manager, and said, hey, here's the deal. Very brief, but very blunt conversation. I need help. if you put me with someone that doesn't know what he's doing, I promise you that I will not even be able to walk out of here. That was pretty close to my exact words. And to his credit, he asked that I give him a couple days. My assumption is that he surveyed his team, and I got who he recommended. And from that regard, not only am I appreciative, but I'd also say lucky, because he's good.
Yeah.
He's good.
Well, you've had him for a while now. How long have you worked with him?
I've had him for a couple of years, probably 2.5 at least.
No. This episode is not to say, hey, get a trainer, right? That's not what it's about. But it is about, like, if you really want to see success, work with somebody who understands how to make you successful, or get the discipline necessary to study to become successful.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
absolutely. I've seen people, read the right books or just even watch the right YouTube videos, and they change the way that they do things. They don't necessarily need a coach or a trainer. It just takes the consistency and the diligence and to actually go out and find the knowledge that you need.
Yeah. And as far as for your advice on this, Misty, would you say that there's so much information out there, right? Like, how many books are written on nutrition or diets? How many books are written on exercise, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, there's a sea of information that is leading people to trial and error. And because most people don't understand how long it actually takes to see true scientific results, not the marketing BS, people will run out of runway of their desire of effort to even get to the point of really seeing success because of the trial and error approach. So you're right, I agree with you. You don't need a trainer, but identifying the right trainer will be able to make it worth your while.
Okay, very.
Because we can look at it at the body of evidence, the body of information, and go, okay, that's BS. That's BS. That's marketing. Jay Cutler sitting there with a pound of whey protein. Jay Cutler, if anybody's not familiar with who he is, he was a world-renowned bodybuilder, still in amazing shape, and he's 20 years in now, something like that. Competed with Ron Coleman for a long time, right? Ronnie Coleman. Now Ronnie Coleman is broken because he really beat the hell out of his body, and Jay Cutler is still amazing, right, as far as his physique goes. But he's sitting there with a tub of protein on his thigh that just got released by Muscle Tech back in the day when Muscle Tech was the big dog in town, right? And then there's this beautiful girl in a bikini that's also incredibly fit. And what does the customer, the witness of that marketing material think? Is if I get that protein, I can look similar to that guy and possibly get that girl or a girl like her if I just do the work and take that supplement.
Yeah.
That's what marketing's supposed to do, is to get you to buy the stuff even if it's garbage.
Of course. That's why people are buying all kinds of crap online these days, because all it really takes is the right type of marketing.
Yeah. And then what do you deal with? You get a heavier burden on the body's detoxification system. You get a stress wear value that takes away some of your effort to make change. And then you've got all of these things that you just aren't thinking about because we're ignorant. People are ignorant to the actual truth to how to get results. So identifying a really good trainer would have what tenets associated with it, right? So, Misty, for the closing remarks on this, obviously we can do a bunch of videos on these because this is our world, but it occurred to me to be a significant aggravation to have the companies out there that only care about profit and not results, and how short-sighted that is. So today's conversation is, hey, it's out there, but we're driven for our success of our clients, not just our bank accounts. So
Right.
what would you say, for the closing portion of this, what would you say, Misty, as advice for the person watching on how to identify a stellar personal trainer?
Oh, I think first off, it needs to be someone who helps you to set multiple goals, right? So if you come in and you say that you want to lose weight, a stellar trainer might say, well, okay, let's break that down, but then let's also look at, how many inches do you want to lose? How much muscle mass do you want to gain? How much body fat do you want to lose? So and again, it's a matter of opinion whether or not I'm a stellar trainer, but I have been told by quite a few people how much they love that I set them up with at least 3 goals before they leave the first session with me. Like, let's come up with multiple goals so that if you get disappointed on this weight thing, we've got your body fat, we got your muscle mass, we've got your circumference of your waist, we've got your, all these things. Or just how are you feeling? Do you sleep better? Maybe they want to come in, they just want to have better balance. There's all kinds of different goals. So how do we set new goals or set multiple goals in the beginning, little small goals, and then continue to set goals and progress those goals along the way and explain to them, your trainer is going to explain to you that that's what's going to happen, right? That you're not just going to see the progress that you want to see, but I can get you past that. If you're looking to, once you reach that goal, I can get you past that goal. We'll set a new goal. And then there has to be measurement. There has to be some form of measurement, regular measurement, and there has to be I think it needs to be somebody who you feel is giving you some type of reward, even if it's just in the way that your trainer talks to you. It needs to be rewarding type of speak. Not necessarily a monetary reward, but maybe there is monetary reward. Maybe there is some type of small reward that you get, because that's part of the coaching process. It's whether it's positive reinforcement in some way, right? So it can't just be someone that's just standing there counting your reps and counting your sets and can't wait to go home. They're looking at their cell phone the whole time while they're working, unless they're using it as a timer. They're talking to everybody else at the gym. They're not focused on you. They don't seem to care. They're not happy when you get there. That's not a stellar trainer. A stellar trainer is going to be somebody that knows your life. They know what you're doing. They know your stresses. They know what you're eating. They know what goals you're trying to reach, and they're helping you measure them, and they know that they better help you get there. And they feel extremely driven to help you get there. And you'll be able – I feel like people can tell if you care. I can tell if someone cares about me as much as I care about me and my goals, right? I think it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
And you ask them all those questions. Ask them. If somebody asks me, how much do you care about me reaching my goal? I would tell them, that because that's what you're paying them for, right? They should care about you reaching your goals, not just for you paying them.
Right. Yes, I agree with you. Yes, and those are all great points to look for. Because it is important. If you want to be successful, you're going to want to make sure you've got a professional mindset. And a lot of us need to hire somebody to teach us that.
Mm-hmm.
How do you professionally become successful at fitness? You don't need to be a professional throwing on the uniform of a gym necessarily. Just know what the uniform is supposed to look like for your success. So, and Justin?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So for you, what would you say is your advice? I'm sorry. Before the question, you have something else to throw in there, and then we can get to your question or your advice for the person.
No, Chad, and I apologize, but I was wanting to tack on to that. I hadn't even thought about that up till now, because once again, I kind of got lucky, but I think Misty brings up a extremely valid point from a consumer standpoint, trying to get started and just go in. If you really evaluate, they're all going to give you an initial assessment.
Mm-hmm.
If that assessment doesn't give you a warm and fuzzy, that should be a flag right away. I mean, that assessment should be thorough. It should be detailed. It should evolve beyond the obvious, I want to lose 10 pounds, kind of metrics. I think that's huge, really. That's probably all I really can add to that, but I think that's very big.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, to know that they connect and they're going to bring a level of expertise to your experience, right? So you know they connected with you to see your results come to life. Yep. And the other is that you know that they're professional because they understand what they're doing.
Yep.
Now, proof is always in the pudding. Now, if somebody could have the academic side, top of my class. I've got a degree in exercise science and, whatever that they have on paper. But their ability to actually create the results in the person also means that they have the ability to get you motivated to make the changes necessary to be successful.
Right.
Those things are so incredibly important because I've hired many trainers in my life, and I've had to let trainers go as well. And when it comes to truly seeing the results, it really can be incredibly simple. So knowing they can connect is, to Justin's point, very, very important. And to Misty's point, is not only connecting, but also know the person is in your corner, ready to push and fight for your results because they care. Now, my experience is the trainers that are truly good are the ones that are vested in seeing their education work for you. Mm-hmm. Not just sitting back cocky-like, going, well, it'll work if you do your part. Well, no shit. It's going to work if you do your part, but are they able to enroll you in what your part is? Or are they ready to just blame you if the results don't show up? And that is noticeable in the conversation.
I completely agree there. You should be willing to go above and beyond. If they aren't getting results, let's figure out why you're not getting results.
Yeah.
And what can we do?
Yep. So for everybody who hires a trainer, every dollar you spend on that professional goes into a budget that will either be for your success in the future or a reason never to try it again. Mm-hmm. And for me, when you deal with the companies that are about profit and they don't care as much about their clients, the more that they're out burning people's health venture, the journey they're going to be on, they're burning the opportunities down. Because I don't care. I just want you to pay me. And then there's the others that care about the culture and care about the customer. So if anything for people to take away from this is we've got somebody who has seen amazing results at an individual level with Justin with injuries and still saw losing the 30 pounds and getting in the best shape of his life. And we'll say we're in the older, we're getting older, Justin. And you still have the results, because we don't have the privilege of having our hormones make up the difference for us. We got to work smarter, not harder, right? And then we've got Misty with her timeline that you've been in the industry, and you definitely coach with heart and the professional mind, which that's the kind of coach you want to find. They've got a heart for it, and they're smart for it. Not just the passion or not just the smart. They got them both. So that's Misty in this. So I hope everybody takes something wonderful away from this episode. For me, I've got a lot more things to gripe about when it comes to the industry because I come from a physical therapy, working in a physical therapy office for 3.5 years as a corrective exercise specialist, and seeing what happens when you have bad trainers or trainers that don't care about longevity. They just care about right now in the bank account and how that can hurt people. They really aren't, at the end of the day, that responsible. So I got a chip on my shoulder about it. So, and then I took the holistic route like Misty did to become educated in this. So we want to see real change, and we want to see every person that makes the decision to go on a health journey and a fitness journey be successful. And that means we have to be dynamic. So we have to elevate the professionalism and the expectation in the industry. So I thank you guys for your input today. Do you have anything else in closing before we finish up the episode?
No, thanks for the opportunity.
Yes, and you were a wealth of knowledge. And Misty, if anybody's looking to start their health journey and would love to be able to work with you, how can they reach you?
You can reach me at on every platform, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. And you can also email me at misty@mistycoaches.com.
Beautiful. All right. And Justin, anything in closing from you for people getting on the journey, or just anything you want to say before we finish up?
Just hang in there, stay consistent with anything you're starting with, and get someone that holds you accountable, even if it's not a coach. Maybe there's a partner in your life, maybe there's a friend, or maybe there's a gym buddy. There's multiple ways to make this work. But I can tell you that I'm a personal testament of what can be done and what you are capable of. Nothing has ever been gifted here, so go get it.
Yeah, and thank you. It's true. Step into it and step into the possibility that the reality is at your say so. And finding somebody else in your life that can assist you in that is absolutely necessary and desirable. That's why I tell people that share this video with the people in your life that are your support system or that are close to you, because they let them know you're up to something. Because if you do this in silence, or you do this without people that are close to you knowing what you're up to, they are very likely to try to help you with the stress that comes with change by bringing you back to where you were before you made the decision. Because that's where they know you the most, and that's where they know that you have the mechanisms to help you with that stress. And that could be, let's hang out, let's have bonbons and ho-hos tonight and watch Netflix, or go to the bar, or whatever that thing is. But if they know you're up to change, then they know not to do that to you. If they truly are there for you. So share this video with the person in your life that you want to actually just understand that you're up to something. It's such a beautiful thing. So with that, this is the Maturity Project. I'm the host, and with my co-hosts, so Chad Everbro Shears, and with Justin and Misty, my fantastic, fitness-centric, amazing human beings that are absolutely game changers. We won't get Justin talking about the Valentine's Day date on this one, but I will tell you what, he managed himself pretty well, and his date didn't notice until after the fact of everything. So you guys, if you haven't followed the channel, subscribe. You will find that we have some interesting and fun banter, and we have some great things actually developing in the team as it is. So I think everybody will grow to appreciate and love what's actually happening. So, all right, until next time, guys, this is the Maturity Project. Yesterday's failures will create opportunities for tomorrow's success. Just stick with it. Get up to something. Get up to it with us. All right, until next time. Don't forget, like the channel. All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
You guys.